Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from SABA satellite channel from Marib. Here are tonight's top stories.
PLC member Al-Muharrami discusses strengthen South unity with bin Habrash ahead of South-South dialogue.
Yemen joins the Arab-Indian Foreign Ministers meeting in New Delhi to strengthen regional cooperation.
National Commission concludes visit to Socotra to address human rights violations and environmental damages.
Welcome back into the details. Abdulrahman Al-Muharrami, member of the Presidential Leadership Council, met with Amr bin Habrish, the first Deputy Governor of Hadramaut and head of Hadramaut Tribes Alliance, to discuss the political situation and the future of the Southern unity. The two leaders agreed on the importance of uniting the Southern stance and moving beyond internal divisions, recognizing it as essential for achieving successful political solutions. They also addressed the upcoming Southern dialogue in Riyadh, stressing the need for broad participation from all Southern components, with an emphasis on a responsible, inclusive approach to tackling Yemen's political, economic, and service challenges. Al-Muharrami praised bin Habrish's efforts in Hadramaut, highlighting his role in fostering unity to ensure the success of future negotiations and strengthening stability.
In a statement, the Yemeni government has strongly condemned the Houthi militia for storming United Nations offices in Sana'a, looting communication equipment and vehicles and relocating them to unknown locations. The government called this a severe violation of international laws and diplomatic immunity, exacerbated by the ongoing blockage of United Nations humanitarian flights to Sana'a and Marib. They stressed that the act aims to distribute humanitarian efforts, weaken the United Nations' ability to verify aid distribution, and further isolate Houthi-controlled areas. The government reiterated its demand for the United Nations Security Council to take punitive actions against Houthi leaders involved in these violations and called for international organizations to relocate their headquarters to Aden to ensure conducive humanitarian operations.
In a related context, Houthi militias backed by the Iranian regime have stormed UN offices in Sana'a, seizing communication equipment and vehicles. Julian Harness, UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Yemen, confirmed that at least 6 UN offices were raided and critical assets were moved to an undisclosed location. Harness condemned the unilateral action, noting that the seized equipment was essential for humanitarian operations and had been legally imported. He also highlighted that the Houthi militias has refused to grant permission for UNHAS flights to Sana'a for over a month and to Marib for more than 4 months, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. He emphasized the UN's continued appeal for Houthi compliance with UN Security Council resolution, particularly Resolution 2801 and Resolution 2813, which demand a safe working environment and the release of detained UN staff.
Yemen participated in the second Arab-Indian Foreign Ministers meeting today in New Delhi with a delegation led by Deputy Foreign Minister Mustafa Nouman. The meeting discussed shared challenges including maritime security threats, distribution to supply chains, and the decline in economic exchange between India and the Arab states. They also addressed regional and global security concerns. Participants emphasized the importance of building a strategic relationship between India and the Arab League and reinforcing Arab-Indian cooperation across various fields. The meeting concluded with the focus on impacting terrorism, supporting the Palestinian cause, and promoting peace and stability in the region.
An international meeting held in Riyadh, hosted by the United Kingdom, focused on supporting Yemen's Coast Guard in securing ports, protecting territorial waters, combating maritime crimes, and carrying out search and rescue missions. The Yemen Maritime Security Partnership (YMSP) meeting aimed to enhance Yemen's maritime security capabilities in this critical period. Yemen's Coast Guard Commander Major General Khalid Al-Kamli presented an operational briefing highlighting achievements and the challenges the force faces. He emphasized the need for continued support from the international community to strengthen Yemen's maritime security. Regional and international partners, particularly Saudi Arabia, were praised for their ongoing decisive support for Yemen, reaffirming their commitment to the country's sovereignty and security.
The National Commission for Investigating Human Rights Violations has wrapped up its field visit to Socotra, focusing on human rights violations reported on the island as well as the consequences of recent events. The Commission received complaints regarding the detention of activists, journalists and citizens, leading the team to investigate detention sites where prisoners were reportedly kept in poor conditions. The Commission also visited the Dixam protected area, which has been impacted by environmental violations, affecting endangered species. Additionally, the team heard from local officials and community leaders about the economic repercussions, especially in sectors like fisheries, where businesses have been forced to halt operations between 2021 and 2025. The Commission emphasized the continuing efforts to ensure justice for victims and strengthen human rights protection in the region, calling on local authorities to meet their legal obligations and ensure the rule of law.
Nasser Sharif, Deputy Minister of Transport, confirmed that Socotra International Airport has witnessed an increase in air traffic recently, with more flights arriving and departing. This surge reflects growing connectivity between the island and the parts of Yemen, as well as several Arab countries. Since the beginning of the year, Yemeni Airlines has organized 4 flights between Socotra and Jeddah, transporting 609 passengers, including Arabs and foreigners, who had been stranded on the island for several days. Sharif noted that the cooperation with Saudi Arabia has led to the opening of a direct air route between Socotra and Jeddah, with flights scheduled to begin next Tuesday, February 3, 2026. This new initiative aims to enhance travel connections and ease travel procedures, improving mobility to and from the island.
Now let's highlight a grave issue impacting Yemen's future: education and the exploitation of its youngest citizens. The Houthi militia ongoing effort to distort education and forcibly recruit children are not only undermining Yemen's future but also violating international norms and humanitarian laws. The following report shed light on how these actions are devastating the country's next generation and threaten both national and regional security.
The Houthi terrorist militia supported by the Iranian regime has left no crime or violation against childhood uncommitted. It begins with depriving children of proper health care even before birth, extending through the early stages of their lives through systematic policies that deny them the most basic rights to a dignified life and safe education. The militia's policy of starvation and impoverishment of the community through taxation and the confiscation of the properties is one of the main tools it uses to exclude children from education, forcing them into military service in a blatant violation of the Convention of the Rights of Child, particularly the right to education, protection from exploitation and recruitment. While children around the world celebrate the International Day of Education, the Houthi militia continues to undermine the educational process, distort curricula, and militarize schools, aiming to distort awareness and undermine national identity. This represents a direct threat not only to the security and peace in Yemen, but also the regional and international security, both in the short and long term. Human rights reports indicate that more than 3 million children are now out of school in areas controlled by the militias due to the closure of over 2,800 schools, either through destruction or conversion into military barracks and weapons depots. Additionally, the number of teachers who have been deprived of their salaries for nearly a decade has surpassed 170,000, in clear violation of Yemen's international commitments, which the militia has disrupted through the use of force. The militia follows inhumane policies, starving and humiliating teachers to force them to leave education, replace them with loyalists who implement sectarian agendas within educational institutions. This in parallel with the enforced levies in the name of supporting education, forces thousands of families to withdraw their children from school. The militia has also converted summer centers into closed military camps to train children in the use of weapons, indoctrinate them with sectarian ideologies, and send some to the front lines, committing a grave crime that constitutes a severe violation of international humanitarian law. In this context, the international community has a legal and ethical responsibility to take serious measures, starting with criminalizing the distortion of educational curricula, holding those responsible accountable, supporting alternative national educational solutions, pressuring for the payment of teachers' salaries, and halting the militarization of schools to protect the children of Yemen and secure their future.
This has been the news from SABA Satellite Channel from Marib. Stay tuned for updates and have a good time.